of Greece has just stepped into the studio.
We have a number of Greeks and a couple of non-Greeks, too.
Yes, we do. Although Bob Clifford is here, and I believe he is actually Greek and just changed his name for political purposes so he can get elected to alderman.
It's on the ballot, right?
Cliffordopolis.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Although being a Greek name on the ballot in Cook County, pretty good. It's become much more of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice thing. All right, here's the thing. Every year, there is a very, very cool fundraising event to benefit the National Hellenic Museum. The National Hellenic Museum.
It's right here in Chicago, and if you've never visited, it's on the south end of the Greek town, right there on Halsted Street. It is architecturally stunning building with a floating staircase. You just have to see it. But then the artifacts and the ancient history, the oral stories of Greek Americans, it's just amazing. There's always something new to see there, and you got to go by. It's one of those things not everyone has been to, but you need to go.
Since the Greeks invented the law,
they invented everything. Did you see My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yes, I know.
The Greeks invented
the law. Every year, as a fundraiser, they do this amazing thing where they get real high-profile, national-profile lawyers and judges, and they do a trial that is generally either a trial out of deep history or out of some piece of fiction, but mostly it's historic.
Mm-hmm.
And the lawyers, real lawyers that you've heard of, and household names in the legal community in Chicago,
brilliant legal minds,
try a case over 2 hours in front of an audience, and it is fascinating.
It is.
It's like To Kill a Mockingbird if it were in Greece. That's the way it is. And this year, it's the Trial of Hippocrates. And it's at the Harris Theater for Music and Dance, benefiting, as we said, the National Hellenic Museum, nationalhellenicmuseum.org. Just Google National Hellenic Museum. That's probably the better way to go than trying to tell you how to spell it. And we have a lot of the people who are involved in this here.
Mm-hmm.
We have apparently everybody who's involved in this trial is now in the studio with us. And I am gonna let me start with we've got a judge, we've got attorneys, and who's trying this? I'm gonna start with you, Bob Clifford. Which side are you on?
I am defending Dr. Hippocrates, who's been wrongfully accused of basically med-mal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're saying that he gave improper care. I mean, we're talking...
This is unusual for you to be on that side.
He's one of the top 5 global figures ever. Uh-huh. Think about Hippocrates. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows about Hippocrates. And he's being wrongfully accused, and we're going to show it.
Okay. Judge, he's already laid out his issue here.
He's already tainting the jury pool.
Yes. Shouldn't you stop him from speaking?
No, but... this is something that we're doing for the National Hellenic Museum, and Bob's talent speaks for itself, as does Tinos Diamadatos' talent, and Christina Fakeless, and Patrick Collins, and Dan Webb, who will be joining the panel. It is an event that people should not miss in our community. It's the greatest talent that you'll ever see in one place.
Now, Tinos and Christina, you're sharing a microphone, so this is very much like Sonny and Cher. Are you are you on the other side of this? Where do you fit in?
So yes, Roe, I am on the other side.
You're prosecuting?
We are prosecuting, representing the good people of Thebes, and we have brought Hippocrates to trial, and Christine is going to be examining our expert witness.
Yes, I'll be examining a neutral medical ethics expert.
Neutral medical ethics. And what is his name?
Dr. Peter Angelos. And he's a very famous doctor in Chicago and nationwide.
Yes, he's very famous. But he's a real guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he'll be kind of telling the story of Hippocrates to the audience, and then the audience gets to vote. Don't forget. And
that's the cool part. There's an interactive element. Talk about that, because you're actually part of the trial if you come to witness this.
Right. So every audience member gets a blue or white chip. Blue this year is liable or guilty. Hippocrates is guilty of violating the Hippocratic oath, his own oath.
His own oath.
Right.
Came up with it, wrote his own deal.
And now look at him.
Yeah. I want to just say how I'm with Bob already. I mean, the guy's got an oath. How bad could this possibly be?
I mean, how could
he could change his own oath?
But
he could declare a national emergency, Bob. Right. That's what he could do.
Hey, listen. But on a serious note, kudos to the museum for really a public service, because what's happening here is there's going to be a hearty discussion that goes back all these years about the right and the wrong of medical care and ethics, and they're issues that we all deal with on a daily basis. Do we treat somebody who's maybe on death's doorstep, or how do we care for them? How do we be sympathetic to them? What do we give them? What do we deny them? These are social issues that were back in Greece, in ancient Greece, that permeate the headlines today. And kudos to the museum for bringing that to the forefront.
And what's kind of unique about this event, too, is, many people, the first time that they go to a courtroom is because something has happened terribly wrong in their lives. Here they get a chance and they get an opportunity to hear the evidence. They get to hear these great trial lawyers, and they get to decide themselves. So, many times people say to me, well, how do you do it? How do you make your decisions? They actually get to decide. The jurors themselves will have 12 jurors that will also decide the case, but the audience will also get to make their decision. Sometimes they'll talk about it themselves, and you can actually see the audience interacting with themselves, but then they also get to hear the judges and how we make our decisions.
So the binding decision, so if Hippocrates is going to the slam, is going to really be based on the jury, though?
It's actually based on the audience, because what we do is...
lock them up.
Well, we don't lock them up, right? But
well, in ancient Greece, the jury was much larger than what we have here in the U.S. today. So having almost
at least 500.
It was 500.
500?
It was. And you know why?
Very big courtrooms, real.
Right. It was in the arena, right? And the reason why they invited... First of all, it was mandatory. So if you got a jury summons in ancient Greece, you had to show up. It wasn't voluntary. You had to show up.
Too hot.
And the reason why they had 500 was it was less likely that someone would be able to bribe 500 jurors.
Oh,
there you go. Plus, they really wanted the community to be engaged.
Exactly.
And again, on the more serious note, this goes back to the whole notion of democracy.
Exactly.
And Greece brought the world democracy, and as exhibited by the fact that everyone participated in a community decision based on the evidence that they heard and what's in the best interest of the individuals involved and what's in the best interest of the community.
At the museum, we do programs like this for children. They put Odysseus on trial, and did he kill the lion? Should he have killed the lion? Hercules, I'm sorry. So we set up trials for them so they learn what it means to be a voting citizen. What does it mean to have a court trial? So now we're doing it for adults. It turns out it's a lot of fun to hear people argue a case, both sides, heartily, to see what happens, and that's critical thinking.
Every year when this comes up, I always say that Chicago is the best legal community in the country. I mean, as you see how many of our lawyers go on to do these big national cases, get involved in things, because everything that could possibly go wrong in human existence happens in Cook County. There's just no two ways around it, and there is a way that this community sort of takes care of itself, and it's also a very deeply intellectual legal community too here, where there is a lot of case law comes out of Chicago and the cases that happen here and the state of Illinois, and it's a great, amazing, historic place in the U.S. history. So it's really fun to watch these people, because these are legends, from the Clarence Darrows forward here. Clarence Darrow, of course, in the post-media world, became one of the most famous attorneys. You do have the best legal minds in the country, and you get to see them on display. And they also will hand out their business cards probably on their way out, which I think is always very good, too.
Well, you don't want to be in their court and to learn about what they do. You'd much rather be in the audience making a vote.
But to the judge's point, if something's gone very, very wrong in your life, you need somebody. These are people that you can watch work, and it's really amazing.
Right. I love the courtroom style. Is the style of ancient Athens, but you weave in so many modern day references, and it's fun. It is really fun to watch.
And we're going to miss you this year.
I know, I can't be there. This is the first time, and this is one of the events in Chicago I look forward to every year. It is spectacular. Kudos to the museum and everyone there who puts this together and assembles this amazing team, because it's spectacular. You have to go.
We were hoping to start to convince you from early. Bob and I were going to try.
We were going to come in here early and kind of invade the space.
I know what you guys do.
We saw the red light, so we figured we had to back off.
And you've been involved, since the start as well.
The beginning.
And this one's going to be a close one this year.
I think so.
Ro, you look a little Greek.
So.
I mean, you could.
Hey, I know. People say that to me all the time. I eat in Greektown all the time, and people will say to me, "Oh, you're Greek."
They come up to you and speak Greek to you.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And they go, and I always go, "Efaristo." To everybody I say, that's the only thing I know, and I just do that.
Go to the Greek Museum and you can learn the Greek language.
Yeah,
we have adult language on Thursday nights and possibly other nights of the week. So ages 3 to 100.
I'm kind of close to the 3. I'm sort of in that's we're going to have to start with that and then work our way forward. All right. Well, this is a big deal. The Trial of Hippocrates. They're retrying him right here in Chicago. Sometimes they got to move. It's like El Chapo. They had to move it. They may have to move it over here too. So Hippocrates is going to be on February 20th. Right, which is next Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Right, I have that. And at 6:30 at the Harris Theater for Music and Dance. That's downtown Chicago, right here. Right, that's
Millennium Park.
Millennium Park, right there. And if you want tickets, you go to nationalhellenicmuseum.org. But just look up National Hellenic Museum if you don't want to try to put all that together, and you can find it on the website. Right. And again, for the Hellenic Museum for the United States of America, this is the history of Greece and the Greek community in the United States of America, is right here in Chicago in the middle of Greektown, which is pretty amazing when you stop and you think about it. The importance that Chicago's had on Greek immigrants and people who've come here for the past over 100 years to be a part of this amazing, what they've done to make Chicago the thriving city that it is. So there you go.
Absolutely true.
All right. Thank you all, and I hope you're not charging us by the hour.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let us, because right now, by the hour, this group right here, Save the Judge, of course, would have cost us about $15,000. I just did the money right there.
Send you a bill, Rose.
All right.